You weren't supposed to be there, not in that tent, not in that job. You were meant to scrub latrines in a camp 2 valleys west. That's what your slip said, but slips get wet, and orders blur, and no one reads too carefully when it rains. Now you're here, in the spare tent. The one they usually keep for spare things, dying officers, broken rifles, sometimes the translator's goat. But tonight it's you and him. He doesn't say a word. Just folds himself onto the cot with one hand still in his glove. His boots are still wet. They drip mud onto your skirt. You sit with your knees pressed tight, pretending not to look, pretending not to know who he is. Even though you do, you try to breathe through your mouth. The air smells like wool, gunpowder, and something sharper, maybe vinegar, or medicine, or fear. You can't tell which. His sword is still strapped to him. That seems wrong, like sleeping in your shoes. He murmurs something. A name, maybe, not yours. You don't answer. You weren't told if you're allowed to. No one mentions you in the reports. No one says who brought the general hot water, or who brushed the lice from his collar, or who heard him talking in his sleep in Corsican, not French. The records are very clean, very short, but you were there. You still feel the weight of the cot when he shifted beside you. And the real question is, why did he come into your tent that night? Tell us where you're listening from, or what time your night begins. The fire's mostly gone out. You lie on the stiff camp mattress, still dressed. Your boots still smell like the donkey cart. The blanket is too thin. You can hear the frost outside the way it makes the tent fabric crackle in the wind. You can smell the old starch in his cravat, even now, folded under his cot. It smells of vinegar, sweat, and burnt hair powder. You've been awake since before the drums, before the horses, before the man in the fine coat came back. He handed you a silver comb, said, he wants his hair done, quietly. You'd never combed a man's hair before. Not like that. It was coarser than you thought, and thinner. He didn't look at you. Just kept reading a letter, muttering names. Junot, Murat, lands, names like stone. You tried not to look at the scars on the back of his neck. Later, they fed you broth that tasted like wet wood and salt. You weren't allowed to sit. The guards played dice with a priest. You watched the wax from their candles drip into the soup pot. You wondered if anyone would notice. When the general finally left the tent again, he said just one thing. You know how to stay quiet. That's good. You didn't answer. You never knew if it was meant kindly or not, but that wasn't even the worst part. The morning smells of boiled horsehair and dried onions. You wake before the bell, not from habit, from ache. Your back is stiff from the cot. The blanket did nothing. It always does nothing. A layer of wool that feels like dry moss, pulled from a tree and laid across you as an afterthought. He's already gone. Only the dent in the canvas cot remains. His breath is still in the air, though, sharp with tobacco and whatever ointment they use on battlefield joints. You never saw him take off his boots. You never heard him leave. The guards outside didn't speak to you. They never do. They give you hot water. You scald your knuckles carrying it. There's no basin, just a dented copper bucket and an old wine bottle. You use the bottle to pour, your sleeve pulled down over your hand to catch the steam. It still burns. No one explains what happens now. No new orders, no dismissals. You wipe the table in the officer's tent twice, just in case they think you're still useful. You're careful not to clean it too well that might draw attention. One of them, a lieutenant whose name you think is Lamarck or Lamont, asks if you're the new laundress. You nod. You've never done laundry before, but you nod anyway. You cleaned 7 undershirts that day, each one stiff with dried sweat, pipe ash, and chalk from old starching powder. You try to scrub them with birch ash and gray soap, the kind that leaves your hands sticky for hours. You use snow to rinse when the water runs out. By midday, your fingers are gray and wrinkled. One shirt is different. It has a small embroidered bee in the collar. You run your thumb over it. It's barely visible. Faded thread, stitched with speed and little care. You look around before folding it. There's no one near the washing line, just a goat tied to a cart, chewing on a map someone left in the mud. You wonder who stitched the bee. Probably not a servant. The spacing is clumsy. Perhaps a lover. Perhaps himself. Perhaps it doesn't matter. You're not allowed near the main tent again, but someone leaves you a task. 3 pairs of gloves, laid out on the bench like offerings. All left-handed. You check them twice. No mistake. No right-hand mates. One has a small tear at the thumb. One smells faintly of iron. The last one is too stiff to wear dried through with what you think is horse blood, but could be anything. In the folds of one glove, you find a small wooden button shaped like a heart. Too small to close anything. No thread on it. You keep it, just for now. That evening, the snow changes. It's heavier, but quieter. Less like flakes, more like ash. You taste salt in the air, though you're nowhere near the sea. Someone says a messenger arrived from Warsaw. Someone else says it wasn't a messenger. It was a Polish prince. Or a spy. Or a woman in uniform. The rumors shift faster than the wind. All you know is, someone important is crying behind the canvas wall next to the cook's tent, and no one goes in. You eat bread with a crack in it. The crack runs the length of the loaf like a dried river. It breaks when you touch it. Inside, the bread is still warm, but filled with damp holes tunnels made by something that lived and left. You eat around them. They give you vinegar wine to wash it down. You swallow carefully. It burns your gums. Someone next to you is reading a torn newspaper aloud. Something about Russia. Something about snow. You don't listen. You're watching a boy across the fire pit press his finger into his cheek and pretend to fire a pistol. Over and over. His boots don't match. The next day, they bring you to a tent near the edge of the camp. It's not for punishment, not exactly. They just want to see if you'll say anything. Inside is a coat, blue velvet, lined in red satin. It doesn't belong here. There are no buttons, no medals. Just the coat folded, oddly, around a stuffed linen bag filled with crushed herbs and chalk dust. A sachet to keep away moths, or spirits, or rats. No one speaks while you work. You hold the coat as if it might breathe. You brush the dust from its shoulders. You sew one of the seams shut with thread so old it frays just by being pulled. There's something in the inner pocket, a square of silk, stained, folded in fourths. You don't unfold it. You hand it back as is. No one thanks you. One of the guards sneezes into the fire and drops his bayonet. That's the closest anyone comes to noticing you all day. At night, you dream of a mirror that won't reflect your face. Only your hands. Your hands are maps. They remember the dirt. You're moved to a smaller tent. This one smells like boiled sugar and mold. Someone died in it recently. You can feel it in the ground, soft and uneven. You're given a tin cup with no handle and a comb made from pig bone. You use the cup for water. The comb stays in your sleeve. It's cold. You press your back to the canvas wall for warmth. You think of the general's hair coarser than you expected. You remember the sound of his breath when he finally slept. It didn't sound like power. It sounded like forgetting. They say he left that morning for Pultusk. Or maybe it was Grodno. The rumors disagree. Someone claims he disguised himself as a peasant and rode out on a mule. Someone else says he's still in camp, watching from a tent disguised as storage. The goat is still here, so you assume he's not. You see the coat again, hung, oddly, outside a medical tent, flapping in the wind like a flag. You think of how carefully you'd stitched its seam. Now it's wet. One sleeve trails in the mud. You don't move to rescue it. You've learned. Things aren't yours just because you held them. By week's end, no one remembers which tent you came from. A new servant arrives. Pale, soft hands. She wears boots made for walking indoors. You're told to show her where the latrine shovels are. She thanks you, twice. She asks if the rumors are true, if the general really did sleep in the wrong tent. If he really spoke to the maid, if the maid really spoke back. You say no. She nods, like that's what she expected. You wonder if she believes you. One of the officers gives you a pair of gloves. This time, both hands. They're too large. You wear them anyway. You fold the fingers under, like you're hiding claws. There's something sewn into the lining. A scrap of paper, stiff with wax. It reads only, yours if you stay quiet. No signature. No date. Later, in a pile of discarded papers near the latrine, you find a half-burned note, written in rushed French, smudged ink. It mentions a servant unnamed. It says something about indiscretion. It says something about removal. You don't keep it. You let it fall back into the mud where it belongs, and that wasn't even the strangest thing. The strangest thing was the small wooden button you found in the glove, the one shaped like a heart. Weeks later, long after the camp moved on, you saw the same button again sewn into a general's sash in a portrait at a garrison hall. Only the general in the portrait wasn't Napoleon, it was Murat. And he never wore gloves. You don't speak of the button, not to the new laundress, not to the man who sharpens knives behind the mess tent, not even to the priest who smells like wet rope and garlic and keeps handing you bruised apples you never ask for. You keep it wrapped in cloth, tucked behind the hem of your left boot, near the stitching that's starting to come loose. You check it sometimes, not to admire, just to make sure it's still there, because it shouldn't be. That exact heart-shaped wooden button, the same one you found tucked into a glove, left like a secret, now appears in a painted sash across the chest of a general who, by all accounts, hated small decorative flourishes. Joachim Murat, he wouldn't wear it, that's what you've been told. Too vain, too flamboyant to hide a heart in something no one could see. But the portrait is real, and the button is there. You saw it with your own eyes. Or thought you did. You were scrubbing the marble just beneath the frame when the torchlight caught it. A tiny brown heart at the corner of a blood-red sash, small enough to miss, except you didn't. You rubbed your eyes twice and looked again. Still there. You stood up too fast. Your knees cracked. The captain told you to get back down. A week passes. Your hands begin to heal. New calluses form over the old ones. The lie doesn't sting as much. Your knuckles crack less. The skin stops flaking. The priest with the apples stops coming by. Someone says he was transferred. Someone else says he was caught stealing bread. Someone else says he died quietly behind the latrine. No one knows for sure. You keep scrubbing. The portrait is removed 2 days later. No one says why. The wall above the fireplace is left bare. You think you see a faint outline where the frame hung, a pale ghost of the gilded edge. You ask the new laundress if she noticed the button in the painting. She says, "What painting?" You stop asking. The button begins to feel heavier. You weigh it in your palm some nights. It's not real weight, just the weight of memory. The weight of something you weren't supposed to keep. There's no mark on it, no initials, no hint of where it came from or what it was for. You rub your thumb over it until the wood warms. It smells faintly of varnish. And something else. Oil, sweat, no. Ink. Another storm hits. It tears 3/10 from the ground and scatters a ledger book halfway into the river. You find a page from it floating against a tree root, half frozen and too soaked to read. Only one name remains legible, not yours. The next morning, you're reassigned. They send you to the store's tent where they keep spare uniforms, damaged boots, and old maps with coffee stains. You sort through boxes of buttons. Dozens of them, brass, pewter, horn, bone, but none like yours, not one. The clerk, a man with a hunch and 7 fingers, tells you the heart-shaped button wasn't military issue. Decorative. He shrugs. Women's coat, maybe, or civilian trim. Not from here. You nod, thank him, fold your arms tight. You don't tell him it came from the general's glove. They make you repair a ceremonial sash, red and white. Smells of tobacco and wax. Someone says it belonged to Marshal Ney, but the initials on the inside don't match. It's missing a button. You ask what kind. Doesn't matter, says the quartermaster. No one's going to wear it again. You consider sewing the heart onto it, just to see what happens, but you don't. You sew a brass one instead, the kind that blends in. The heart stays in your boot. Later, you're asked to help polish a saber. It's heavier than you expect, etched with what looks like ivy. The hilt is wrapped in leather so old it feels like dried meat. The soldier who brings it says it was found near Austerlitz years ago. No one knows whose it was, but someone high up wants it clean for display. You ask if it's being gifted to a museum. He laughs. No museums in war, only piles. He leaves before you can ask what he meant. That night, you're allowed a longer rest. You sleep beside a crate of ammunition and dream of the portrait again. But this time Murat's face is turned. You can't see his eyes. You stare at the button in the painting. It begins to twist. The heart shape melts, becomes something else. You wake before it finishes. Your throat is dry. Your hands are cold. The fire is out, and your boot is missing. You crawl across the tent in the dark, half blind, searching with your fingers. The floor is cold and uneven. You find straw, a nail, something that might be a dead mouse. But not your boot. It's gone. You don't yell. You don't report it. You wait. You wait for whoever took it to come back. But no one does. The next evening, your boot is back, sitting in its place, upright. Clean, too clean. The mud is gone. The stitching is fixed. The button is gone. You don't ask. You don't tell anyone. You just stare at the boot for a long time and then put it on. It fits better than before. That week, an officer asks if you'd like to join the kitchen staff. Better food, fewer latrines. You decline. You say you prefer the silence. He nods once and walks away. Later, you hear rumors about a coat. Not the blue velvet one, a new one, green with golden trim. No regiment claims it. No officer has reported it missing. But it keeps appearing outside tents, behind barrels, sometimes on a chair no one saw before. Someone says it smells like almonds. Someone says it screams if you burn it. Someone says it was the last thing the general touched before he left camp. You don't believe any of it, but you notice your blanket smells different now. Like almonds, and the question that lingers even now, even days later, as you pretend to fold rags that don't need folding, if no one made that button, why does it keep showing up? You start wearing 2 pairs of socks, not for the cold, though it's still cold, not for comfort. You do it so you can press the worn soles against the ground without feeling the grain of the planks through your bones. The wooden floor of the store's tent is uneven, part mud, part splinter. The socks help you forget it's borrowed. This week, you're tasked with inventorying the satchels. Canvas bags, some with broken straps, many still stained from last month's march. You find crumbs in one, dried mud in another. One has a lock of hair tied in string. It smells faintly sweet. You don't ask. A soldier, thin, maybe 17, comes in asking for a replacement strap. His old one snapped. You show him 3. He picks the worst one and thanks you like you've saved his life. He leaves with his head down. You never see him again. That evening, you hear gunshots that aren't part of training. 3, then silence. Someone says it was an accident. Someone else says it wasn't. A name is mentioned, Garrow or Garrel. It passes too quickly. You wipe your hands on your apron and pretend not to listen. The store's clerk sets down a cracked mirror and mutters, "This place forgets people faster than it buries them." You nod. He's not wrong. The smell of almonds hasn't gone away. It's in your blanket, your coat, even your socks. It's strongest in the morning, just after you wake. Not sharp, not bitter. Faint like someone lit a candle nearby, then carried it away before you opened your eyes. You ask no one. You write no notes. One afternoon, they give you gloves again, this time black leather. Not military issue, too soft, too finely cut. They say you're to clean them. You ask what's on them. The officer shrugs. Whatever it is, don't breathe it in. You wait until no one's looking, then hold them close. They smell like almonds and wax. You begin to notice things that don't belong. A coat peg where no coat has ever hung. A brass button in your sleeve hem, stitched with thread you don't own. A folded paper under your cot with no writing on it, just the mark of a seal, long since broken. No one claims any of it. No one explains. You place them in a small wooden box beneath your cot. You call it the ledger, not because it keeps records, but because it keeps the things that do. 3 more coats arrive for cleaning. 1 green, 1 red, 1 dark brown with gold edging so fine it's almost invisible. No names, no insignia. You find something in the lining of the red one. A piece of parchment, torn at the corner, on it a name, Elzier. You don't recognize it. You burn the paper in a candle flame. Watch the name curl and disappear, but you remember it. That night your blanket is missing. In its place, A folded uniform jacket. Not the general's, not Murat's, not any you've seen before. It's too small. Smells like dust and starch. Inside the pocket is a handkerchief embroidered with the letter E. You fold it again and sleep without asking questions. The almond smell is stronger now. It lingers even when you leave the tent. You try washing your hands more, the smell stays. The clerk tells you it might be poison. He laughs after, probably a joke, you hope so. Someone posts a notice near the officers' quarters. It's in poor French, copied hastily from Polish. Missing servant. Female, no reward. Last seen near tent 13. There is no tent 13. You check. Still, the notice stays up. No one removes it. No one signs it, and the real question is, who hung it, and who exactly was it meant to warn? You don't ask questions anymore. You've learned. It's safer to clean, fold, listen, and forget in that order. But the notice keeps fluttering, even in still air, like it knows something. You walk past it twice a day now. Not by choice. The latrines were moved again too close to the store's tent. Someone said, too many flies, too much talk. Now your route takes you by the officers' quarters. Past the wooden board where they post assignments, death rolls, court, marshals, whether lies. And this, a single sheet of paper, thumbtacked in crooked. Missing servant, female, no reward. Last seen near tent 13. You don't need to touch it to know the ink is wrong. Too light. Not military issue. The kind of ink made from soot and wine. Homemade, old, and the paper it's not from camp stock. Slightly yellowed, brittle at the corners. You once cleaned a commander's field desk. That paper came from one of those. Someone official wrote it, or wanted it to look that way, but no one asks about it. No one tears it down. No one laughs or scoffs or questions it. They just walk past it, like you do. There is no tent 13. At least, not on the manifest. You checked. Twice. The quartermaster's list ends at 12. Command tents are lettered. Latrines marked with symbols. Supply tents have their own coding system, based on contents. You know them all now. You've been rotated through every category that doesn't involve a rifle. No 13. But something strange happens the morning after the first frost. You wake to find a new tent in your peripheral view. Halfway between the back mess line and the farrier's lean-to, canvas, plain, no markings. It wasn't there yesterday, you're sure of it. You'd spent an hour sorting saddle clasps near that spot, squatting in the dirt, dodging hoof kicks, swatting flies. Nothing was there but hay, hoof prints, and a broken stool. Now there's a tent, small, slouched, one flap torn. No one speaks about it. No one enters, but each time you pass it, you feel the almond smell. You don't go near it until the 4th day. Even then, only because a crow lands on top of it and doesn't move. You were taught not to be superstitious, but you were taught that by people who never slept beside a man history calls an emperor. You approach the tent slowly, quietly. It makes no sound in the wind. The canvas doesn't ripple. The torn flap stays still. You crouch, brush the edge with your finger. Dust comes off on your glove. Not mud. Not soot. Dust, old, dry, chalky dust. The kind that settles on a tent that hasn't moved in years. But that tent wasn't there 4 days ago. You open the flap. It's dark inside, but not pitch. The kind of dark you see in photographs, decades before photographs are invented. The inside smells of soap that's been left too long in a drawer, candle wax burned dry, and almonds you take a step in. The floor is solid, wood panels laid down neatly, too neat for a temporary tent. You know the feel of dirt beneath canvas. This isn't that. You wait, count to 10, no sound. There's a cot, empty, a desk, one stool, a wool blanket, folded wrong, and in the corner on the desk, a comb. It's yours, not one like yours, yours. Pig bone, slight chip at the edge from when it caught on the general's collar loop. You never told anyone about that. You kept it tucked in your apron pocket. You check, it's gone. You don't remember taking it out. You step backward, careful not to knock the stool. You leave the tent. When you turn around to look again, the crow is gone, and the tent is still there. You say nothing for 2 days, but your name appears on the duty roster again. This time under field support displacement reserve. It's not a real assignment. You ask the quartermaster. He frowns and scratches his beard. We haven't used that category since the Rhine. You weren't at the Rhine. He shrugs. Might be a clerical mistake. Don't worry about it. You do. That night your gloves go missing. Again. The ones with the heart-shaped button are long gone. But now the black ones, the soft leather pair, vanish from the store shelf where you tucked them. You search twice, then stop, because you notice something else missing. Your shadow. For a moment, just a flicker while walking past the tent with the stovepipes, you turn your head and see it. The light casts forward. The shadows of the barrels, the fencing, the chimney, all there, but not yours. You take a step back. The shadow returns. You blink. You try not to think about it, but you do. One of the horses refuses to walk past tent 13. You see it with your own eyes. A sturdy mare, normally calm, digs its hooves into the frozen dirt. The rider curses, kicks, pleads. Nothing works. Eventually they circle around. The horse stares at the canvas like it remembers something. Like it knows who lived there or who didn't. A lieutenant collapses by the fire 2 nights later, whispers something about the button, about her eyes, about a voice in the blankets. He's carried to the medical tent. You ask the surgeon if he'll recover. He didn't lose any blood. The man replies, rinsing his hands in a bowl that smells like copper and ash. But people break in different ways. He says it plainly. Like he's counting rations. You don't ask more. Someone mentions you in passing. You overhear it. At the water barrel. Isn't that the one from the general's tent? No one replies. You keep walking. That night, you dream of tent 13 again. Only this time it's bigger. The cot is no longer empty. A shape rests on it hard to define, not fully human. Something stiff around the edges, folded in on itself, covered in old paper and thread. You step forward. Your boot creaks on the wood floor. The shape whispers. You forgot to return it. You wake with your hand wrapped tightly around your comb, your real one still chipped. You check your boots. They're dry. The left one has something inside. You reach in. Your fingers touch wax and a small slip of parchment. You unfold it carefully. It says, "Return the ledger." There is no signature. There's no name. But someone knew. You walk outside before dawn. Tent 13 is gone. In its place is just frozen mud, a stool half, buried in a line of boot prints that lead nowhere. The crow is back, watching from the fence. It cocks its head once, then flies away, and you wonder, was it ever a tent at all? You don't speak for 3 days, not by choice, just by function. There's nothing that needs saying. Your tasks return to mending and folding. No new coats arrive. The store's tent is quiet, too quiet. Even the quartermaster, who usually curses at the supply rosters like they're playing cards, sits still. He sharpens a quill he hasn't used in weeks, writes a name, scratches it out, writes it again. You read it upside down, Gaspard, Gaston, doesn't matter. He tears the page and burns it in a tin cup. Your boots are clean now. You didn't clean them. You suspect no one did. Still, every morning the leather is dry. The soles are brushed. The seam on the left is repaired again. You run your finger along it. New thread. Smells like wax and lemon oil. No one says anything. No one asks questions. And in your cot, under the fold of your spare apron, is the box. You didn't put it there, not that you remember, the ledger, small wood square. You kept it under your cot weeks ago, then forgot it. But now, it's back, and heavier. You wait until nightfall to open it. Inside, 4 things. The heart, shaped button, a scrap of linen with a red edge, a glove left. And only a folded paper with a stain like almond oil. You close the box slowly. Then you carry it to the back of the tent. You bury it beneath a crate of moldy potatoes, just for now. That evening, the almond smell returns. This time it's in the bread. Not strong, just a sharp note behind the yeast. You chew slowly. The crust sticks to your gums. You swallow without tasting. You ask the cook if something's changed in the recipe. He shrugs, same as always, just less of it. You nod, walk away, don't look back. A field captain collapses during roll call. Not from cold, not from hunger. His body folds like cloth, no resistance. His hand clutches something, a strip of parchment, burned on both ends. The medic peels it from his fingers with tweezers. The writing's gone. Burned off, but you catch a symbol pressed faintly into the paper. A heart, not drawn, imprinted like a stamp pressed too soft. No one else notices. The captain doesn't recover. Later that night, you ask the new clerk if he's seen a tent that wasn't on the roster. He stares at you for a moment, then shakes his head. All tents are counted daily. You ask again, softer, tent 13. He frowns, there's no 13. He turns away, but as he walks off, he adds, check the horses. You don't understand. But you nod anyway. The next morning, you watch the stables from a distance. 6 horses are tethered loosely in the frost. One shivers. One won't eat. Another paces, stiff, legged, toward the edge of the pen, again and again, as though looking for a hole in the world. You approach slowly. There, just past the fencing, half buried under a broken feed trough, you find a square of fabric, gray, green, slightly waxed, smells of iron and burnt herbs. You pull gently. It's not just cloth. It's part of something larger. You uncover a satchel. Inside, another glove, right, hand this time. You don't match it to the one in your box. You don't need to. You already know. The almond smell follows you back to camp. It clings to your hands now, even after washing. You try vinegar, lye, birch ash. Nothing removes it. You stop trying. You return to the ledger box that evening. You pull it from beneath the crate. Open it slowly. Add the glove. It fits. There's a slot, almost invisible, carved in the box's inner wall. It accepts the glove without resistance. You hadn't noticed that before. You sit back on your cot. Feel the wood slats beneath the mattress press into your spine. You look at the folded paper again. You unfold it this time. One line. The emperor never forgets his sleep. No punctuation, no signature. You fold it again and tuck it under your blanket. You sleep less that night. 3 days pass. Someone mentions a courier missing. He left at dawn, never arrived at the outer post. His horse returned without him saddle soaked in what looked like oil. You say nothing. You check your boots again. They're still clean, but now they have initials scratched lightly on the inside cuff. E.D. Your name doesn't have those initials. It never did. You sit for a long time staring at them. You don't scrub them out. You just keep walking. One night, a storm rolls in without warning. No wind, no thunder, just snow, heavy and sudden. Tents buckle under weight. Firewood disappears in minutes. The air is so quiet you can hear cloth breathing. You sleep near the officer's latrine tent. They forgot to assign you elsewhere. You curl beneath a spare wool coat. The lining is stitched with the same thread as your boot seam. You don't ask who it belonged to. At dawn there's a new entry on the duty ledger, written in red ink, different handwriting, no one else's name, just yours. Assignment, to remain near the ledger. No tent, no task, just that. You check with the quartermaster. He hasn't seen it. Says no such entry exists. But you saw it. You felt the ink with your finger. Later that day, the page is gone. The ink is still on your skin. You're beginning to forget what day it is. You're not sure how many days since the general slept in your tent. You try counting meals, but some days have none. You try counting laundry batches, but no one gives you any more. Your hands are healing again. No one gives you work now. They only give you space, and once a long look. Then one evening a noise, not a scream, not a voice, a chair, being pulled. The store's tent is empty, you're sure of it. You checked twice, but the back curtain moves slowly, and a stool you left tucked neatly into the corner now faces the wall. There is no one on it, but beneath it a folded jacket, one sleeve tucked in wrong. One button missing. You lift it gently. Smells like almonds and sweat. Inside the breast pocket, another note. This one isn't written. It's scratched into the fabric. You hold it close to the firelight. You were meant to remember, and that wasn't even the first message. The first was weeks ago, in his voice, when he lay beside you that night, when you thought he was sleeping, but he wasn't. He whispered something. You didn't catch it then? Now you hear it, over and over. Don't give it back, not until she's ready. And the only question left, who was she? You wake with fabric in your mouth, not a full cloth, just a thread, a single red thread. You cough once. It sticks to your tongue before falling into your palm. It smells like smoke and starch. You sit up slowly. Your blanket's still there, no holes, no fraying, no loose ends that color. You press the thread into your apron hem. Fold it closed, you don't mention it. No one would believe you. That morning, someone brings you bread with the edges already cut off. Too soft, too warm. You ask where it came from, the boy shrugs. From the ledger. You stare at him. From what? He nods toward the officer's tent. That's what they call it now. The place with the stovepipes and no door, where people leave things. You try to speak, but nothing forms, so you walk there instead. The tent is different now. No flap. Just a slit in the side. Wide enough to slip through sideways. You do. It's cold. Colder inside than out, even with the stove, which isn't lit. You see it immediately, a desk, not a field desk, a real one, heavy, oak maybe, on top sits a box, not yours, but like it, same size, same shape, same faint wax polish. You don't touch it. You look once, then leave. You can still feel the almond scent in your throat. Later that day, a sergeant calls your name. He mispronounces it. You don't correct him. He asks if you're the one who used to keep records. You say no. He stares at you for a beat too long, then mutters, "Strange, I thought your name was on a dispatch." You ask to see it. He says it's gone. You ask who sent it. He says, "You did," then walks away. That evening, you return to your own ledger box. It's where you left it, beneath the potatoes, but the potatoes are gone. Inside the box, something new, a folded slip of linen, pale blue. Stitched into it, a name, Elise. Not your name, not anyone's you know. But the thread is the same red as the one from your mouth. You refold the cloth and place it gently back. The officers begin whispering more often now. Not orders, not gossip, something else. You pass two of them speaking in low tones near the fire barrel. One says, "It's her again. You saw the candle." The other nods, "Third time this week. Same cot. No assigned name. You keep walking. Don't look back. But you wonder if they're talking about you. You begin to find objects again. Not randomly, deliberately. Placed, a spoon under your boot heel. A key in the wash basin. A wax seal on the pillow beside yours. Each time, the same scent. Almond and wax. Each time, you return it to the ledger box. You don't ask where they come from. You don't ask why they fit. You just fold, place, close the lid. Like it's always been your job. On the fifth day, the box is gone. Replaced with a slip of parchment that reads, "She was ready." You kept it long enough. You ask the store's clerk if he moved anything. He says he thought you had. You both pretend not to notice the smell. You take to walking more. No orders come anymore. No chores, no rotations. You sleep where you're not asked. You eat what's left. You listen more than you speak. It's better that way. You find the tent again, the one they called the ledger, only now it's open wide, flaps pulled back like curtains, and inside 10 ledgers. Not boxes, books bound in leather, each one with a different clasp, none of them locked. You open one. Inside are names, names written in charcoal, not ink, smudged, rewritten, crossed out. Some pages are just watermarks. Others, maps drawn by hand with wrong borders. On one page, a sentence. She never arrived, but left nonetheless. You turn the page. There's a sketch of a boot. Your boot. Stitched left seam. Red thread. You close the ledger slowly. Step back. Leave the tent. You don't sleep that night. Instead, you sit near the ash barrel. Cold smoke rising. You feel something tug at your apron. You look down. Nothing. You feel it again. You look again. A single thread, red, runs from your hem to the ground, stretched taut. You pull it. Nothing happens. You follow it. It leads you back to the general's old tent, now folded, packed, tied shut with rope. But the thread disappears underneath. You kneel. Press your ear to the canvas. No sound, only heat, faint from inside, like breath held too long. You wake in your own cot. You don't remember walking back. Your hands smell like wax again. Your apron is missing. In its place, a coat, green, trimmed in thread that doesn't match. One button a heart sewn at the collar. You touch it once. Then close your eyes. Someone dies that day, a young corporal, new. No one remembers his name. They say he fell into the well, but the well has no water. It hasn't for months. Someone writes accident on the report. Someone else crosses it out. You aren't asked to clean up. You aren't asked anything. You're already walking toward the ledger tent before they finish speaking. You know what's waiting, and the only question that stays with you. Who was Elise, and why does everyone keep acting like she was you? They've stopped using your real name, if anyone ever knew it. Now it's Elise, in roll call, in whispers, in the duty logs scrawled in haste near the fire barrels. The first time you correct someone, the clerk looks up at you as if surprised you speak at all. Then he shakes his head slowly, as though humoring a child, of course. But that's what it says here. You ask to see the paper. He turns it toward you. It doesn't say Elise. It says nothing. Just a smudge, like dried wax where a name should be. You think of the button. You haven't seen it in days. Not in the box. Not in the cot. Not in your boot. But now, as you fold the same apron for the third time, your fingers catch something in the seam. You turn the hem. There it is. Sewn tight, heart-shaped. Same faded wood. As if it had always been there. You didn't sew it, but your stitch is in the thread. The laundry line freezes overnight. Your hands go stiff trying to crack open a sheet starched in yesterday's wind. The sheet snaps like thin leather. You hear a sound behind you, not footsteps. Just breathe. A soldier stands nearby, young, hair too neat, uniform too clean. He's not watching you. He's looking at the sheet. Did he sleep under that? You pause. Who? He smiles, but not kindly, the emperor, before you took his place. You don't answer. He nods like he expected that, then walks away, whistling a tune you don't recognize. You fold the sheet. You feel each crease like a memory you didn't earn. Later, a medical orderly asks if you'll help with the dead book. That's what they call the roll of the fallen names, places, dates. Illness or injury, usually penciled in by a half-frozen lieutenant, then rewritten later by someone with ink and better spelling. You sit in the back corner of the infirmary tent, where it smells of crushed thyme and salt meat. You copy down 3 names, then a 4th. You pause. You've written it before, Elise D. The rest of the name is gone. Just a line. The ink won't hold. You dip the quill again. It won't mark the page. You try a different spot on the same sheet. The quill works. You go back to the name. Still nothing. You close the ledger. You leave without a word. A new tent appears 2 days later. Not 13, 14. The number is stenciled in black near the flap. Sharp lines. Official. But no one enters it. No one claims it. Inside, you find stacked paper, folded wool, and a tin cup filled with wax drippings. And on the back wall, a set of hooks. Empty all but one. A single glove hangs there, left hand, clean, trimmed in red thread. It smells faintly like your cot. A messenger collapses in front of the quartermaster's tent. No wounds, no explanation. Just dropped. They find a sealed envelope in his coat. There's no address, just a heart drawn faintly in pencil. The wax seal is broken. Inside is nothing, not even a note. They burn the envelope and bury the messenger. No one says his name. You ask the new laundress if she remembers anyone named Elise. She says yes, but when you press her, she laughs nervously. Not really. I think it was someone's aunt, or maybe a ghost story. You ask what she means. She shrugs, you know. Like how they say someone still lives in the empty tent. The one with no ropes. The one that's dry even in rain. You don't ask which tent. You already know. That night, you smell oranges. Not strong, just enough to notice. But it's not citrus season. And no one has fruit. You wake and check your cot. Folded at the foot is a note. Heavy paper. Uncreased. You unfold it. There's no writing. Only a faint wax stamp. The seal shows a heart with a thread through it like a needle pulling something closed. You refold it. Tuck it into your sleeve. You don't sleep again. The next day, you're sent to the perimeter post to count satchels. No one explains why. You walk 2 miles through slush and ice alone. At the post, there are no satchels. just a crate. Inside, your old comb, the pig bone one, chipped, and underneath it, wrapped in a piece of linen, a medal. Not an official one, not military. This one is carved wood, heart-shaped, tied with black thread. You don't take it, you cover it, close the crate. You walk back in silence. When you return, your cot is missing. Not moved, not reassigned, gone in its place, a wooden stool, on the stool, folded neatly, a coat. You've seen it before, green with red thread on the cuff. One button missing, you lift it gently. Inside the lining, written in faint pencil, she was always cold. The snow turns wet. Boots rot faster. Mold creeps up the canvas tent walls. You clean in circles the same table, the same basin. One day, you find a lock of hair in the drain, too dark to be yours, tied with red thread. You place it in the ledger tent. No one asks, but later, someone leaves bread by your cot, still warm, shaped like a heart. You eat it without thinking. You dream of a woman brushing someone's hair slowly in silence. The officer's mess talks louder now. One says he remembers a woman in blue who folded all the cravats on the wrong side. Another says she stitched thread in her sleeve for safekeeping. Another claims she was court, marshaled for silence. Another says she vanished with the emperor's glove. They all use the same name. Elise, you watch them laugh, but none of them can say when she was here, or what she looked like, or why the ledger still has her page open. And the real question tonight, as you press your back to a crate of starch and old maps, if you are not Elise, then who has been stitching your thread? The snow finally stops. No sun, just quiet. The kind of quiet that makes you feel like someone's watching not close, just far enough to be patient. You check the sky, no birds. The crows have gone. You check your boots. Still dry. The thread in your sleeve has unraveled again. You don't remember pulling at it, but it coils in your lap like something waiting to be rewound. You try knotting it. It splits. The fibers feel old, brittle like they were meant for one stitch only. You toss the thread into the fire. It doesn't burn. It disappears. You're reassigned again. The new duty log places you with the scribes, not to write, just to bring water, ink, trim nibs, sweep soot from under their desks. The scribe's tent smells like wax, dry bark, and warm leather. Pages hang everywhere tied with string, nailed to beams, folded into pigeon, carrier tubes. One wall is covered with failed signatures, practice, repetition, proof, the same names again and again, but one of them isn't signed, only her hand was too steady. You stare at it longer than you should. The head scribe coughs. Ink, he says, not looking up. You go. Your boots creak louder now, even when you walk slowly. You used to like the sound. It made you feel real, like your weight proved something. Now, you try to walk quieter, but the boots seem to resist. You remove them one night, just to rest your feet. Inside the lining of the left boot, someone has written, "Return to tent 14. You check again. The words are gone. No one sleeps in tent 14, at least not during the day, but every time you pass it, the flap is slightly open, as if someone left in a hurry or stepped out, expecting to return. You check the ledger. Tent assignments don't go beyond 12. They never did. You walk past it each morning, then again in the evening. Always the same. Flap open, cot empty. Faint warmth in the corners of the tent that shouldn't hold warmth. One day a woman's scarf hangs from a peg. Dark blue, threadbare. You reach out. It smells like starch and old perfume. You check your own satchel that night. Your scarf is gone. One of the officers tells you you've been promoted. You laugh or think you do. It's hard to tell. He says, "You've earned your silence," then hands you a folded cloth. Inside is a medal, not official, wood, same shape, heart. You take it, not because you want it, but because someone must have carved it, and they didn't know who else to give it to. That evening, a storm returns, wind this time, sharp. You can hear it tearing seams along the side tents. One collapses. They say no one was inside. But when they raise it again, there's a name carved into the floorboard. Elise, just once, neat, clean. Someone rewrites the plank with pitch and covers it with a crate. You don't ask who did it. You don't want to know. The scribe hands you a blank sheet and says, "Write your own name." You don't. You hold the quill for a long time, let the ink pool and dry. You press the tip to the paper, but nothing forms. He watches. You're sure you haven't written here before. You say no. He frowns. Your hand says otherwise. You find your own handwriting later, on a slip of parchment stuffed into the crack between your cot and the tent pole. Same slant, same uneven loop in the S. It says, "If I forget myself, stitch me back together." You don't remember writing it, but you fold it gently, place it under your pillow, and sleep without dreams. In the morning, a new button appears, heart-shaped, wax, polished, slight nick on the edge, sewn neatly into your left sleeve, your thread, your color. You don't unpick it, you just tug the seam tighter. The quartermaster stops you near the ash pile, says he has a question, but forgets what it is. He stares at your boots instead, points to the cuff, that stitch. He murmurs, "Didn't she?" Then he shakes his head. Never mind, he lets you go. You walk more, speak less. You hum to yourself sometimes. You don't remember learning the song, but your feet tap with the rhythm when you hear the carts roll past, like they used to in Corsica. Wait. You've never been to Corsica, have you? A soldier asks you for thread, not to sew, just to carry. You give him a piece. He presses it to his wrist like a bandage. He says, "I saw you in the portrait tent." You've never been there? He nods. Still, I saw you. Then he hands you a note. Fold what's folded. Keep what's quiet. You tuck it into your pocket. You don't tell anyone. The field doctor calls for a ledger. You bring him one. He flips through, muttering, stops on a page. "This one," he says. "Did she ever leave?" You lean closer. The name is yours. Your old name. He points to the note scribbled beside it. Transferred to silence. You feel your breath catch. He closes the book and nods. That's the cleanest ending they offer. You return to tent 14, not to enter, just to check. The flap is shut now, neat, tucked, like someone made a decision. Inside, you hear quiet breathing. Yours, maybe, or someone else's memory. You sit near the entrance, pull the scarf tighter around your neck, the one from the peg, the one that still smells like someone else's perfume. You hold the ledger medal in your hand. It's warm now, as if it remembers fingers. You close your eyes. Try to name yourself without speaking. The words come slowly, one syllable, then another, but they don't settle. They just float. And the question you carry into sleep is this: if you were stitched back together, whose thread was used? The scarf frays at the edges, not because of where you barely touch it, but each morning the threads seem looser, as if time is pulling it apart while you sleep. You try mending it once, just a few careful stitches. By dusk, the thread is gone again, not torn, just vanished. You fold it tightly, place it under your cot. Wake the next morning, it's around your neck, perfectly tied, frayed. They assign you to the record tent again. Not because you're useful, they simply forgot to remove you from the list. You sit near a man copying troop names from ink-stained notes into a fresh-bound log. He never speaks, not to you, not to anyone. He just writes. Ink, pause, ink again. You sweep the corners of the tent. In one shadowed edge, beneath a rolled map of the Danube front, you find a page, not bound, just loose, faded. You bring it to the scribe. He squints. What book is this from? You shrug. He traces the corner of the page with his finger, frowns, and hands it back. You might as well keep it. Doesn't belong anywhere. The page lists 8 names. 7 are crossed out. The 8th is yours, or close to yours. 1 letter is wrong. The vowels shifted, like someone guessed it from memory. Beside it, a note. Sleeps beside empire. No rank, no unit. No date. You fold the page, tuck it in your satchel. You don't ask again. That night, you feel the ledger box under your cot again. It wasn't there yesterday. You pull it out, open it slowly. Everything inside has changed. There is a square of mirror, cracked in the center, a dry sprig of lavender, tied with bootlace a needle, blunt from use, and the same loose page with your name, but this time it's written in a different hand. Smoother, yours. You stay awake long after the others sleep. The fire has gone out. Someone near the far end of the tent snores quietly. A mouse rustles in the straw. You press your fingers against the ledger box lid. It no longer fits tightly. The wood has swollen or maybe softened. You hold it in your lap. The surface is warm. You wait for something. You're not sure what, but the box doesn't move. Neither do you. In the morning, there's a roll call, unusual for this part of camp. You're not expected to attend. You stand just outside the canvas flap. An officer reads names. Some are familiar. Most are not. A few don't belong here. A cavalryman's name is called, but he died last month. A cook is called, but he left with the winter column. Then one name you've never heard, but everyone turns to look at you. You don't speak. They move on. But the firekeeper nods as he marks a list. Someone leaves you a biscuit by your cot, wrapped in a note. She remembered bread. That was the problem. You chew it slowly. It tastes of cloves. Your jaw aches when you swallow. You save the note. You're sent with a message to the quartermaster. Nothing unusual, but when he opens the scroll, his brow furrows. This request is wrong. He says, you wait. He doesn't explain, just folds the message, then burns it in the lamp flame. He stares into the fire for a long time, then glances at your boots. Where did you get those? You hesitate. They were assigned. He nods once. Keep walking. He says, so you do. At the mess line, someone tries to hand you 2 portions. Says it's always been that way. Says you've always served 2. You look behind you. No one's there. The soldier shrugs. Must have gone early. Happens sometimes. You take both plates. You eat slowly. The second one is still warm. Later, you hear music, not loud, just a low hum, not from the musician's tent. From tent 14, you move toward it, slowly, watchful. Inside, a woman sits on the cot, her back to you, hair pinned in a twist. She's sewing. You don't speak. You take one step closer. She turns slightly. You see the side of her face. Your face. Not exactly. A version. She hums the tune you've been hearing in dreams. You blink. She's gone. Just the cot. Just the scarf on the hook. Just the sound of your breath. You return to the record's tent. Find the same scribe. He's copying again. You place your page in front of him. He looks at it. Then at you. Where did you find this? You don't answer. He rubs his chin. We had someone by that name, briefly. He flips through the ledger beside him, stops at a dog-geared page. Ah, here. He turns it so you can see. It's your name, entire, perfect spelling, date of entry, unknown date of departure. Not recorded. He closes the book without reading further. It happens. He says quietly, you're moved back to the supply tent. Same as before. Same crates, same boots, same water barrel that always leaks from the side. But now there's a folded coat set aside, clean green, trimmed in red thread, your size. You don't try it on. You just set it beside the ledger box, which has followed you again. You didn't carry it, but it's there. You find a slip of cloth tucked under a boot heel. It's embroidered with the words, she never slept. She only folded time. You place it in the box. The lavender is missing now, but your needle is sharp again. You mend your scarf. The thread holds. This time the knot stays. You wrap it around your neck and step outside. Snow begins again. Small flakes. Quiet, you stand still. Let it fall onto your shoulders, and you wonder, if the ledger never closed, was it ever really opened? You're asked to sweep the officer's tent again, not because it's dirty, because someone found an ink stain shaped like a handprint, not fresh, not dry, just there. No one saw who left it. No one saw the tent unzipped. No guards reported movement. They hand you the brush like it's sacred. You hold it without speaking. Inside the tent, the floor is cold, the kind of cold that has memory. You can feel it through your socks. The handprint is faint near the edge of a campaign map. You crouch beside it. Run the brush once across the canvas. It doesn't fade. You try again. Slower. The shape doesn't move, but your brush leaves a faint line beside it, not erasure, but doubling. Like the hand wanted to stay, you stop brushing, sit back. Let the cold come up through your knees. You whisper without meaning to, Elise. The air responds like a breath through cloth. Later, A junior lieutenant thanks you for helping earlier in the season. You don't know him. He smiles nervously when you stitched the cuff before the fire. You look down at your hands. You don't remember stitching anything for him, but the thread in your apron matches the one on his sleeve. A crate arrives in the night, marked only with a single wax seal, the heart again. They ask you to open it. Inside, 3 folded uniforms, a scarf, 1 glove, a torn page from a songbook, and a mirror. Fogged at the center, you stare at your reflection. It comes and goes with the light. The soldiers begin referring to the ledger girl. Not always kindly. You hear one say, "She's why the general slept so deeply." She folded the silence. You keep walking. Another replies, "No, that was someone else, the one before, the one who stitched messages into her coat lining." They argue, but neither of them looks at you, even though you're standing 2 feet away. You start noticing repetition. Same bread 3 days in a row. Same ink blot on a logbook you copied last week. Same crow, same hoofprints, same sentence spoken again by a man who wasn't there yesterday. You sit alone with your scarf pulled tight, watching flakes land on the same spot outside the quartermaster's door. Each one melts faster than the last. Time folds, not dramatically, not loudly, just like damp linen. Heavy, slow, familiar. Your box has changed again. You didn't open it. You didn't move it. But the contents have shifted. A hair ribbon not yours, a ring carved from bone, a piece of muslin with initials inked in brown. E.D. A candle stub, unburned, a button, not heart-shaped, just round, plain, military issue, you know what doesn't belong. You remove the button, hold it in your palm, it's warm. You place it under your cot. Next morning, it's back in the box. The ribbon is gone. A corporal hands you a folded piece of paper. Says it's from supply. You unfold it. Blank. But the center feels heavier, faintly embossed. You rub it between your fingers. A shape emerges under pressure, the heart again, but cracked down the middle. You don't show it to anyone. You burn it, but the smell lingers in your tent for days. The laundry tent is empty now. Nobody brings clothing anymore. Just clothes scraps, remnants, things without owners. You wash them anyway. The water is so cold it feels hot for a second, then numb. You wring out a sleeve that isn't attached to anything. Inside the cuff, someone's stitched. She left without leaving. A message runner comes to find you. You don't recognize his accent. Not French, not Polish, something else. He hands you a sealed letter. It's unaddressed. You break the wax. Inside, a single line written in precise script. Your name has been assigned to another. No instructions. No mark of rank. You fold the letter, place it in the box. The ring is gone when you next open it. In its place, another comb, pig bone, not chipped. You touch your pocket. Your original comb is still there. Now there are 2. A soldier dies in the night. Fell asleep near the fire, never woke up. No wounds, no sign of fever. Just 1 item in his coat pocket. A slip of muslin tied in a knot. When they untie it, nothing inside. But the cloth is yours. You stitched that edge. You don't say anything. But someone leaves bread beside your cot again. The scarf frays again. Not at the ends, at the middle. Like it's been twisted too many times, by hands not your own. You rewrap it differently, diagonally across your shoulders. It feels like armor now, light, but layered. You return to tent 14 at dusk. It's colder now. Inside, the air has stilled. No mirror. No box, no scarf, but the cot is warm. You sit on the edge. Feel the canvas shift slightly under your weight. Someone has left a message scratched into the cot frame. You run your fingers across it. I was only ever a placeholder. You breathe in. Then out. It doesn't feel like your voice anymore. You walk back to your tent. Inside, the ledger box is missing. There's nothing in its place. Just a note pinned to your blanket. Thank you for carrying her. And the question that keeps turning over in your mind as you lie down that night, if you were a placeholder who was waiting to return. The note is gone by morning. You don't remember taking it. You don't remember anyone entering your tent, but the pin is still there, stuck into the edge of your blanket, bent slightly like someone pressed it down too hard. You leave it there. It feels honest somehow, crooked, small. You put on your boots. They still fit. They always fit. But now there's a patch on the inside heel you didn't sew. You press your thumb to it. It's stitched with the same red thread. You don't unpick it. You just stand. The camp has begun shifting again. The weather is warming, but the snow doesn't melt. It lingers, gray at the edges, soft in the center. The kind of thaw that feels more like hesitation than spring. You carry folded maps to the supply line. You're not sure who asked you to do it. You just woke with them near your cot. Each one is out of date. Borders that no longer exist, rivers in the wrong place, towns misspelled. One map has a camp marked with a small black X. You recognize the shape of the field. The corner of the map is torn. In its place, someone's written, "Elise stayed here briefly." You run your finger over the ink. Still damp. The supply clerk doesn't ask where the maps came from. He takes them, stacks them, nods toward a barrel of rope that needs reknotting. You sit beside it, begin unwinding. The rope is soft with age, frayed in some places, still usable. You find something near the center, a thread of a different kind. Red, finer, silk. You follow it slowly. It leads to a small pouch, tied tightly, hidden in the coil. You untie it. Inside is a button, not heart, shaped, round, bone, plain. You place it in your pocket. The clerk says nothing. But later, as he walks away, you hear him murmur, "She's still doing inventory, even now." That evening, the cook forgets your portion. You don't remind him. You sit by the fire, drink hot water from a tin mug, and chew the edge of a biscuit you saved from last week. It tastes of flour and smoke. A child too young to be part of any regiment sits beside you. No one looks at him. He doesn't speak, just presses a scrap of cloth into your hand and walks off. You open it. It's part of a sleeve, embroidered on the cuff. Return once written. You close your fingers around it. You don't chase the boy. You don't think anyone else saw him. The officers are whispering again. You catch fragments near the well. Wrote herself into the roster. Didn't bleed, just vanished. Folded the same scarf for 3 winters, and no one noticed. They fall silent when you pass. You don't stop. You walk slowly, deliberately. They don't call your name. They don't know what it is anymore. Maybe you don't either. A scribe approaches you. He holds a page. Blank, he hands it to you without explanation. It's time. He says, "Add what's missing." You take the quill. You dip it into ink. You touch the tip to the page. Nothing appears. He watches. You try again. Still nothing. You hand it back. He folds it neatly, tucks it into a pouch, and walks away. You notice that the quill has no tip, just wood, no feather. You return to tent 14. It's darker now. The flap is closed. You don't go in. Just rest your hand against the canvas. It's warm, as if someone just left. You speak aloud, not loud, just a murmur. "If you're still here, I'll wait." You press your forehead to the tent pole. You stay like that until your knees hurt. When you finally stand, there's a thread caught on your scarf. Red, the same one. You find the ledger box again, but this time, not under your cot. It's outside, on a crate, next to the fire barrel. Someone's opened it already. Inside, nothing. No button, no cloth, no ribbon, no notes, just ashes. A fine layer, settled evenly, as if poured by hand. You run a finger through it. The ash is cold, but soft, like it was sifted through linen. You close the lid. You don't take it with you. That night, your boots are muddy. You didn't go anywhere. You leave them outside. Try to sleep. Your cot creaks once, then settles. You feel the weight of a second blanket. Someone's laid it across your legs. It smells of lavender. You don't open your eyes. You say, softly, "Thank you." There's no answer. But the air shifts, like breath. In the morning, a new entry appears in the records. No name, just a single note. Duty complete. Watch folded. You don't know who wrote it, but the ink matches the blot that never dries. And the question you carry with you as you sit outside the tent, hands wrapped in the frayed scarf, eyes closed. If you were never meant to be written down, why does the camp keep remembering you? You wake to ink under your fingernails, not dried, still soft, still black, as if you dipped your hands in the inkwell and then laid them flat against your blanket. You turn your palms over, no stains. No smell, but the blanket near the corner where your hand fell in the night shows the faint outline of a name. Only part of one. L. You pull the edge of the blanket up, fold it, hide it beneath the pillow. You're not sure why. You just know that some ink isn't meant for anyone else to read. Outside, it's fog, not mist. Fog, thick enough to dull every sound, to smooth the edges off boots and branches. Even the fire barrels burn quieter in this kind of fog, like they're not sure they're wanted. You wrap your scarf twice, tight. It feels heavier than yesterday, or maybe your shoulders are. The scarf smells faintly of starch now, and wax. You wonder if someone pressed it while you slept. Your name is gone from the rotation board. Where it used to be third from the bottom, between mess detail short and clerical overflow, there's only a dark smudge. Someone tried to wipe it clean, but didn't finish. The sergeant notices you looking. He says if there's no name, you're not assigned, not officially. You nod. He adds quieter, but some things keep working, whether they're written down or not. You nod again. That seems to satisfy him. They give you nothing that day. No bucket, no paper, no cloth, no bread. You wander slowly, without purpose. The camp feels faded, not abandoned, not silent, just thinner. The smoke doesn't rise the way it used to. Voices don't carry. Footsteps don't echo. You walk past the latrine tent, past the firewood stack, past tent 14, still shut, still untouched. And then you walk a little farther than usual, to the edge of the encampment. There's a pole there now, not tall, a stake, really. Something's tied to it. You approach. It's a strip of linen, your embroidery, your red thread, but not your stitch. This one is neater, tighter, like someone was trying to prove they could finish what you started. You don't untie it. You leave it where it is. That night, you hear someone coughing behind the supply crates. You wait. It doesn't stop. You step closer, slowly, your boots silent in the damp ground. No one is there, just a folded apron laid carefully on the crate edge. It's yours, clean, pressed inside the pocket, a comb, bone, chipped at the tip, not your chip, a different one. You place it in your sleeve. You don't remember taking it, but you know it belongs to someone you almost were. The next morning, the fog is gone, but the sound hasn't returned. Everything is still too quiet. Even the sparrows don't argue. You check your cot. Your scarf is missing, in its place. A new one, same shape, same weight, different thread. Inside the fold, stitched neatly in the center, worn by memory. You put it on anyway, it feels the same. A child appears again. You're not sure if he's the same one. He doesn't speak. He walks beside you for a moment, then stops near the mess tent. He hands you a slip of paper. It's torn, smudged, but one word is clear, ledger. You turn to ask what it means. He's gone. You return to where the box used to be. Nothing. Only a patch of clean dirt and an outline, like something heavy used to sit there for a long time and only recently left. You kneel, run your hand along the edge. Still warm, you press your palm flat. The dirt doesn't stain. You stay like that for a long time. You wake with thread in your mouth again. This time it's gray, coarse. You pull it gently, inch by inch. It doesn't stop. You keep pulling until the end finally comes loose. Tied to it, a button, round, brass, scratched with the letter E. You place it on your cot. You don't fold it. The quartermaster no longer looks you in the eye. You ask if more linens are needed. He shakes his head. You ask if the supply logs need sorting. He shrugs. Finally, he says, "I thought you were gone already." You say nothing. He nods, as if confirming something he hoped wasn't true. You walk to the stream beyond the tree line. You've never walked this far. No one stops you. The trees are bare. No snow. Just frost on bark. You sit on a rock. Pull the scarf tighter. Open your palm. The brass button glints slightly in the morning light. You toss it into the water. It doesn't sink. It floats. then turns and floats upstream. You walk back slowly. When you reach camp, the fires are lit. But there are fewer tents. You count them twice, still fewer. No one else seems to notice. You ask the cook how many people are left. He frowns. Hard to say. They keep coming and going. Some forget to report in. You nod. You don't remind him that his ledger has been blank for weeks. You find your name again, this time in the scribe's tent, not on the wall, not on a page, on a candle, etched into the wax just once, small. You touch the edge. It's still soft. You light it. The flame flickers, then bends sideways, as if following something. You don't. You just watch it burn, and you wonder, as the wax drips onto your hand and doesn't hurt, if your name was never meant to be spoken, was it meant to be carried instead? You wake before the camp bell, not because of sound. It's still quiet. No orders barked, no boots, no birds, just the hush that comes when even the wind decides to wait. You wake because something is missing. Not warmth, not light. Weight, the weight that usually lives in your chest. Pressing, anchoring. Today, it's not there. You sit up slowly. Your scarf falls from your shoulders. Someone's folded it into a triangle. Edges tucked, center aligned, a neatness that isn't yours. You pick it up, smooth the corners. There's a single thread running loose along the hem. Red, you don't pull it. You just wrap it again and stand. The mess line is shorter now, too short. You count the backs in front of you. 5, then 3, then none. You reach the ladle. The pot is still full. The cook doesn't look up. He gestures. You take a tin. Spoon once. Sit near the fire barrel. The stew is thinner than usual. Water mostly. A few soft lentils. One potato skin. You chew carefully. It's warm. Someone's rebuilt the log chart near the central tent. New handwriting. Large letters. Sparse. You read through the columns. Most are blank. No assignments. No ranks. But there's a new heading. Silence. 3. Underneath. Just one entry. E. Not a full name. Just the letter. You trace it with your glove. The ink smears slightly. Still wet. You don't correct it. At the wash basin, your apron is gone. In its place, a folded handkerchief tucked neatly under a tin cup. The fabric is older than yours. Coarse weave, edges fraying. Stitched at the center, faint but clear. Return to folding. You rinse your hands, dry them on your coat. You keep the handkerchief. Place it in your inner pocket. You don't ask who left it. You're sent to the edge of the camp to check an abandoned tent. The officer just says, see if anything's left. No one walks with you. You don't need a torch even at dusk. The sky is gray enough to see without detail. The tent stands as if it never meant to fall. Inside, a cot, 2 folded blankets, and 1 small crate. You open the crate. Inside, a spoon, a piece of black thread, one of your old boots. You pick it up. Inspect the seam, left boot. Heel slightly worn, your thread, your bend, but you're still wearing both boots. You check. Yes, you place the third boot beside the others. Line them up. They match, all yours. When you return to camp, a soldier asks if you've been reassigned. You shake your head. He frowns. Strange. I thought I saw your name on the tent ledger. You ask which tent. He thinks. 14, maybe, or something before that. He waves it off. Probably nothing, but later you find him watching you, not unkindly, just as if trying to place you. You walk past tent 14 at dusk. The flap is open now, no one inside. Just a coat laid across the cot. Green, red thread, on the inside collar, your name, perfect spelling. You run your fingers over the letters, still damp, as if written that morning. You don't wear the coat. You just refold it and sit beside it. You fall asleep sitting upright. The cot doesn't creak. In the night you hear laughter. Soft, distant, familiar, not from nearby tents, not from soldiers, from somewhere else. A laugh you once knew, but never heard aloud. You dream of wax melting in reverse, dripping upward into an unburned candle. You dream of a quill scratching its way back into a feather. You dream of stitching being undone perfectly, thread sliding through fabric like breath through frost. You wake to snow only on your scarf, no one else's. Even the barrels are dry. You brush it off slowly. It doesn't melt. Each flake is shaped like a letter, tiny, carved, Curling at the ends, they fall silently to the ground. You don't read them, you let them go. At the far end of camp, a fire is lit that no one tends. No logs, just flame, burning from a pile of folded garments. You see your sleeve among them, the same red thread, the same cuff. You move closer. The fabric doesn't blacken, it just sinks as if returning to something older. A man stands nearby. He nods once. Ledger's clear. He says, then walks away. You don't stop him. The fog comes back, but only inside your tent. You sit on the cot, scarf in your lap, boots beside the door. You fold and refold the handkerchief, 12 times, then 13, then 12 again. Each fold holds weight. Not cloth, memory. You find a final note under your blanket. No name, no mark, just one line. She left her voice behind. Try not to speak it. You place the note into your coat pocket. You don't fold it. And you ask yourself, if no one ever said your name aloud, how did they all know when to stop calling it? It's morning, but you don't notice at first. Light comes slowly now, not through the flap, through the canvas, like it's learned how to seep. You sit up, not from rest, but from habit. Your body creaks before the cot does. The scarf is folded again perfectly, laid across your boots, not your chest. The boots are dry, your breath is visible, but your hands aren't cold. You flex your fingers. They remember the motion of folding, of tucking corners, of smoothing cloth with the edge of a palm. You whisper nothing. Even your breath tries not to be heard. Outside, the camp has quieted further. It's not abandonment, not emptiness. It's something else. The space between things has grown, distance in the shape of routine, the same tents, the same barrels, the same path to the well, but everything takes longer to walk to, or maybe you're slower. You stop at the scribe's tent. He's not there, but the ledger is open, not on a table on the floor, laid out like bedding. You kneel beside it. The ink is fresh. The page shows no names, just one long sentence, written end to end across the paper. Fold what was hers until it forgets. You don't copy it. You just sit. Let your knees remember the earth through thin canvas. You feel it settle into your joints, the sense that something is still being waited for. You visit tent 14. The flap is unpinned. Inside, the coat is gone. The cot is empty. On the stool beside the cot, someone's left a length of red thread, looped as if waiting for a needle. You don't touch it. You just sit beside it again, as you have before. This time you feel the air shift. No wind, just space adjusting, like someone just stood. You close your eyes, you breathe once, and stay quiet. In the afternoon, the quartermaster approaches. You haven't spoken in days. He holds out a roll of cloth, wrapped tight, bound with leather cord. He says, "They said you'd know where this goes." You ask who. He doesn't answer. You take the roll. Inside, a set of pages, not paper. Linen, words stitched, not inked. Each line in thread, like confession sewn under pressure. One of the pages reads, "This was never a job. It was a remembering." Another says, "They asked me to sleep so he could rest." You run your thumb across the stitching. Your thread, but not your hand. At supper, you sit near the edge of the fire barrel. Someone's placed a stool there. Not yours, still warm. You sit anyway. No food tonight, just tea. Bitter, thin. You don't mind. It's easier to drink when there's no taste. Across the fire, a soldier asks, "Were you with the staff at Austerlitz?" You shake your head. He frowns. "Strange. I thought you looked like the girl they said." He trails off. Looks down at his cup. You don't answer. The tea leaves nothing behind when it's gone. Later, you find a scrap pinned to your cot. Torn from a field letter, the edges burned, the words barely legible. She stood behind his chair for so long, they forgot to dismiss her. You hold the scrap. It smells like lemon oil and sweat. You fold it once, slide it between the lining of your coat. You don't try to smooth the edges. The scarf begins to fray at the middle again. This time, the thread unravels in silence. No tear, no pull, just loosening. You try to restitch it, but the needle slides through the fabric without resistance, without purpose. You stop, wrap it as it is. You were never meant to repair anything, just to carry it long enough. You find the ledger box again, not in your tent, out in the open, resting on a stool beneath the tree near the well. You sit beside it. Don't open it. Don't touch it. You just wait. After a while, a man passes, young, officer's coat, eyes like someone else's memories. He nods. She kept the records in silence, didn't she? You don't nod, but you don't shake your head either. He doesn't wait. Just keeps walking. That night, you're too tired to undress. You sit on the cot, boots on, scarf loose. The blanket is already folded. You pull it across your legs, not for warmth, for the shape of it. The weight, your hands rest on your knees, and you whisper very softly, "I was never Elise." You feel the air push back against your lips, a breath not yours, not angry, just, remembering, in the dream, you're in a room with no walls. Just fabric hung between chairs, soft candlelight. A man sits with his back to you, uniformed, motionless. You stand behind him holding a folded letter. You don't speak. You place the letter on the table beside him. He does not turn. You walk out through fabric, wake with a piece of thread wrapped around your fingers, black, not red, tighter than before. In the morning, your boots are gone. In their place, your old slippers. From before the march, from before the ledger, before the scarf, you slip them on. They still fit. They always did. And as you walk slowly past the empty tent row, your scarf trailing, your name forgotten, you wonder, quietly, if her voice was never yours to carry. Why does it still wait in your throat? No one speaks to you today, not out of cruelty, just routine. People pass, they nod, they step around you, they leave space, like you're part of the camp now, not a person, not a name, an arrangement. A fixture, you sit on the crate near the old cook's station. The stove is cold, the logs are stacked. No fire's been lit there for 3 days. Someone else cooks now, but further north where the tents have thinned, and the wind cuts sharper through the flaps. No one asked you to move, no one told you to stay, so you stayed. You press your palms together. They still remember the shape of the ledger box, the way the grain of the wood ran diagonal, the way the brass hinge caught on the side seam. Your hands hold that memory like a bruise, nothing to show, but something hurts when you touch the air the wrong way. They told you once that the box came from Corsica, that it had belonged to a notary, or a teacher, or a soldier's widow who stored dried lemon peel and coins for ferry passage. You don't know what's true anymore, but the grain of it is still in your fingertips. Someone has left a folded note beneath the stool leg. Just a scrap, it says. Her duties were never written down, but they were never forgotten. The corner is torn. But not from age, from removal. This note was part of something else. A page, a list, a memory retracted. You hold it gently, like a dry leaf. You place it in your coat pocket with the others. You don't unfold it again. You don't need to. You pass the field tent where they once kept boots by size. A woman is inside now, one you haven't seen before. Her sleeves are rolled. She's scrubbing leather with a cloth dipped in vinegar. She doesn't speak when you enter. You nod. She nods back. You kneel beside her and without instruction begin checking the soles for wear. The boots are from different regiments, some too large, others never worn. She says quietly, they never returned these. They just stopped marching. You set one boot aside. The toe is still stuffed with paper. Inside the crumple is a name, E.B. You place it gently back. She doesn't ask who that is. You don't offer it. Some names are too old for breath. You return to tent 14, only out of habit. The flap is closed. You lift it gently. Inside, the cot has been disassembled. The blankets are gone. The stool is gone. The thread is gone. But on the dirt floor where the cot once stood, there is a faint shape in the dust. A rectangle, the size of a box. You kneel. Place your hand in the outline. The soil is warm, and something inside you tightens, not with fear, with relief. You don't understand why, not fully, but you recognize that shape the way your body remembers bruises. It's where something was placed, and waited and was eventually taken. The general arrives late that evening, not loudly, no parade, no mounted unit, just one horse, one coat, a shadow made of epaulettes. You don't see his face, but you hear the hush that follows. Men straighten their backs, fires are poked, flags adjusted. Someone hands you a folded cloth. They think you're still in service. You press it once, hold it out, and hand it back. He passes close. The side of his boot brushes your coat hem. He doesn't see you, or maybe he does, and chooses not to. That night, you sit alone in the supply tent. The crates are mostly empty now. The linen rolls are gone. The starch bucket is dry. You find your own handwriting again on the underside of the crate lid. Faint, slanted, written upside down, like you were kneeling when you wrote it. It says, "I folded his silence 3 times before I understood it." You run your finger across the sentence. The ink lifts ever so slightly. You don't wipe it clean. You just close the lid, let it seal itself. You wake before dawn. Someone has untied your scarf in the night, not removed it, just loosened it, laid it flat across your chest like a declaration. On the hem, someone has stitched in small, careful letters, "This was your last entry." You roll it gently, wrap it again. You don't tighten the knot. At midday, a soldier hands you his gloves, asks if you still mend. You nod once. He thanks you but doesn't wait. You carry the gloves back to your cot. Find your needle, find your thread. The needle has dulled. You sharpen it on a stone, careful not to chip the tip. As you sew, the wind picks up, not fierce, just steady. You mend the gloves in silence. When you return them, the soldier looks surprised. "I didn't think you'd still be here." You say nothing. He doesn't push. He just puts them on, flexes his fingers, and walks away. There is a second cot now. Not in your tent. Not in any. Just outside the record keeper's shelter. No name on it. No blanket. Just the frame. Assembled clean, waiting, the kind of cot they prepare for someone expected. Someone remembered. You stand beside it. Don't sit. The ground beneath it is perfectly flat. Too flat. Pressed by something that left hours ago. You drink warm water with cloves that night. Not tea. Just boiled water with 1 broken clove. You hold the tin cup close to your chest. Watch the steam trail toward your scarf. And you remember, the first time you arrived. You were carrying something heavy, but no one took it from you. You laid it down yourself, gently, so gently you forgot where you placed it. And the question that settles into your sleeve as your breath quiets, your cot still beneath you, your thread still looped if you were dismissed quietly. Why does the camp still wait for your return? The cot beside the record tent is gone by morning, not moved, not taken, gone. No impressions in the dirt, no drag marks, no dust left behind, just an outline slightly darker than the rest, and a small brass pin where the leg would have rested. You pick up the pin. It's bent, still warm. You don't put it in your pocket. You slide it into the hem of your scarf between 2 loose threads. It fits like it's been there before. You walk past the outer ring of tents. The wind has changed again, less cutting, more restless, like it's carrying someone else's questions. You pass the flagpole. The banner is torn. No one seems to care. A boy is standing near the latrine tent, holding a shovel too large for him. He doesn't dig, just watches the horizon. You stop beside him. He says, "The general's tent is on the wrong side." You look. He's right. It's been moved maybe just a few meters, but the angle is off. You notice it now. The door faces east. It used to face north. You wonder when that changed and why no one told you. You go to the map tent, only 2 men inside, one marking routes with chalk, the other asleep. You stand quietly, wait. The map on the table shows a camp lay out, tents, fires, officers' stables, wash stations. Your tent isn't marked, not anymore. You search the corners, check the border. You find a faint square, scratched into the side margin like someone meant to erase it, then stopped halfway. You tap the corner. The man with the chalk doesn't look up, but he says, "She removed herself 2 weeks ago, said she never arrived." You say nothing. He adds, "But you're still here." You nod. He wipes his chalk, starts drawing again. In the mess tent, the biscuits are shaped differently. You always notice small things. Today they're rounded with scalloped edges, the kind used for visitors, but no visitors have come. You ask the cook why. He shrugs. "We found the old mold again. Thought it was yours." You don't ask how they knew. You just take one. The dough is soft in the middle, still warm, tastes of nutmeg and smoke. You wrap half in cloth. Tuck it into your coat. You always save part of the good ones for someone who never arrives. You pass the supply tent. A new seamstress has taken your corner. She hums to herself as she threads a needle. You nod when you pass. She doesn't look up, but you see your basket at her feet, the one with the thread sorted by color. You feel nothing, just absence. That kind of quiet you feel when the last fire burns out. Not loss, just the moment when heat stops pretending. Someone leaves a mark on your cot frame, scratched small behind the crossbar, not removed, remembered differently. You run your thumb over the words. The wood gives just slightly under your skin. You don't wipe it clean. You fold your blanket once, set it neatly aside. You sit on the cot without lying down. You stare at the tent ceiling. It doesn't move, but it feels thinner now, like light could slip through if it wanted. You find the ledger box again, under the field table, partially covered in sawdust. You pull it out. It's lighter. When you open it, a single glove, a corner of a scarf, 3 pins, a page torn from a field manual, and 1 wooden figurine carved crudely. Almost like a chess piece, you hold it in your hand. The shape is familiar. The weight isn't. You place it back inside, close the lid gently, leave it open. The scribe finds you again near the stables. He doesn't bring anything. He sits on a bucket, lights a short candle. He says, "Do you remember the first entry?" You shake your head. He says it wasn't yours, but you were holding the paper. You look away. He waits a moment, then stands. Some people think forgetting means something's gone, but it doesn't. It just means the shape changed. He walks away without taking the candle. You let it burn beside you until the wax softens and leans. That night, your scarf unravels again, but just 1 thread. It coils around your wrist in sleep. When you wake, the thread is gone, but a faint red circle marks your skin. Not tight, just remembered. You run water over it. It stays. You wrap your hand in cloth, fold it twice, carry on. You return to the edge of camp, where maps stop being drawn. You sit near the tree with the rope marks. It's older than the others, twisted. Someone's carved initials there, E, D, and M, S. You trace the first one. You remember that you don't remember what it stood for. Not really, not anymore, but your fingers tighten anyway. You lean back against the tree, and you ask yourself, if the map forgot you who kept drawing your path in the dirt. You don't remember falling asleep by the tree, but when you wake, there's moss on your sleeve, not much, just a smear, soft green, damp. You brush it away. Your coat smells faintly of smoke. You haven't been near a fire in days. The camp sounds different today. Voices, yes, but distant. As if someone has placed a thin sheet of glass between you and everyone else. You walk slowly toward the edge of the kitchens. A soldier nods at you, but says nothing. You can hear the ladle in the pot, hear the bread break, but the voices don't reach your chest, just your ears. It's like listening through fog. You pass the scribe's tent again. There's a page tacked outside. Not an order, not a notice, just a list of items, unnumbered, no heading, 1 scarf, pinned 1 glove, damp 3 pins, half biscuit notes, unspoken 1 ledger, folded in a cot at the bottom, a line, belonged to no one, but carried through. You stare at it for a while. The scribe appears at your shoulder. He says, "We're nearly done." You ask, "With what?" He shrugs, "That depends on who she was." You don't answer. You both know she was never just one person. A group of new recruits passes through the center path. They move like they've practiced, but haven't learned. Boots too clean, eyes too quick. One of them bumps into you. He apologizes, offers to carry your satchel. You aren't wearing one. You nod anyway. Say, "No need." He hesitates, then walks on. You notice he has your old thread tied around his wrist. A single loop. Red. You say nothing. You let it go. The quartermaster finds you sitting by the fire barrel. He doesn't have his usual clipboard, just a tin cup and a splinter in his thumb. He offers the cup. You take it. He says, "Do you remember when the coats had to be mended every 3rd day?" You nod. He says, "That stopped after you left." You don't remind him you never left. He continues, "But we still fold them the same way. You started that." You say, "Someone before me did." He sips. Shrugs. Maybe, but you're the one we remember folding them. You look down at your gloves. They don't match. You're not sure when that changed. That evening, a horse collapses outside the well. Old, thin, no name on the saddle. You hear the captain say, "Leave it. We'll bury at dawn." By morning, it's gone. Not buried, not burned, just gone. But the shape of its body is marked in ash. Like it chose to evaporate politely. Someone has placed your scarf in the dirt nearby. Folded once. Pinned. You walk to the old records corner. The box is there, again. Still dusty, still light. You open it. Inside, the spoon, a blank page, your pin, and something new. A twist of thread tied around a rock. You lift the rock. It's smooth. River, worn. Someone has etched the shape of a tent on one side. No flap, no door, just the suggestion of shelter. You place it in your coat. No pocket left, but it finds a place anyway. The mess steward gives you a plate today. Says, "One more for the ledger." You pause. He adds, "Old habits. We don't even keep it anymore." You eat quietly. The bread is stale. The tea is warm. You chew slowly. Let the steam blur your view of the other tables. Let it carry something unnamed. That night, your cot is missing. You find it at the northern edge of camp, facing nothing. No tent around it. Just the frame. Just the blanket. You sit on it. Not out of confusion. Out of instinct. Something in your spine remembers this angle. The cot doesn't creak. It never did. Your scarf falls from your shoulders. You fold it. Twice. Place it beside the pillow that isn't there. You look at your hands. They're not cold, but they're still empty. And you ask yourself, as the camp settles again and the sky softens to dark gray, if your duties outlived your name, what, exactly, are they waiting for you to finish? No one wakes you, but you rise just after dawn. There's no sound to break the silence, not even birds. Just that heavy stillness that only comes when a place is almost finished with itself. The cot is cold. The blanket folded, but not by you. There's a crease in the corner where your hand never folds. Someone else has taken over. Someone who remembers the same motions. Someone with your muscle memory, but none of your hesitation. You stand, your boots are laced. You don't remember tying them. Camp is smaller now. You count the tents without meaning to. 20. 3. Last week there were at least 36. No one talks about it. The cook's barrel is full, but there's no line. The fire barrel smokes, but no one stands beside it. You walk to the general's tent. The flap is drawn. Inside, no furniture, just a coat hung over a rope line. Damp at the edges, a scarf on the floor, still folded. Red thread visible through the hem, not yours, but done the same way. A clerk approaches from the side path. He's carrying a wooden clipboard and a strip of linen in his other hand. You know, before he says it, that the linen is for you. He stops, looks at you as if he's forgotten why he walked over. Finally, he holds it out. You take it. It's torn at the edge, has no pattern. Smells like old starch and smoke. One corner has been embroidered with only this, for whomever carries what she couldn't. You fold it once, slide it into your coat. A man sits at the fire with a tin cup. He waves you over, then realizes something and stops. "I thought you were already gone," he says. You sit anyway. You don't speak. He adds, "The records say we had a maid, or maybe two." There's confusion. You nod. He says, "Strange how someone can be remembered twice and still not be named." You stir the ashes with a stick. The heat is low, enough to warm, not to boil. He looks at your hands. Then he says softly, "We used to fold the dead into coats, you know, to carry them, when the stretchers broke." You nod again. You know. He sips, doesn't finish the cup. There is a page tacked to the tent pole beside the ledger station. It has no ink, just an impression, like someone wrote hard on the paper above it and forgot to remove the sheet below. You lift the page toward the light. Faint, but there backwards, pressed through. She was never recorded. She was worn. Later, by the eastern edge of the field, someone calls a name, not yours, but familiar. You turn. No one is looking your way. They repeat it. L. Then it fades, cut short by wind. You step toward the sound, but your boot catches on a stone, not one you saw before. You look down. It's smooth. Etched with a single line, watch folded. You don't pick it up. You don't need to. You return to the cot. It's been moved again, further north, closer to the border of what was once the main road. Now it's just grass. And dust, no wheel tracks, no horses, no wagons. You sit. The scarf is still there. You wrap it once. No knot. Let the ends hang. You watch the wind pass without asking where it came from. You know, somehow, that this is the last place the cot will be. The quartermaster passes by. He doesn't see you, but he places something on the end of the cot without stopping. A bundle of thread, your color, still warm from his hand. You stare at it. You don't sew. You don't tie. You just hold it. Let the thread spool slowly onto your palm. At sunset, you walk past the officers' quarters. No one is inside. Chairs tucked in. Journals closed. A candle burned out in a pool of wax. You lean down, touch the cooled wax. It breaks clean. Inside, a pin, brass, bent at the end like yours. You leave it there. Some endings are meant to stay unfinished. You sit on the cot. The wind lifts the edge of your coat. You hear the rustle of paper. You don't check which one. Could be the biscuit note. Could be the stitched page. Could be the letter that was never meant for you. It doesn't matter now. What you carry isn't weight. It's memory, and memory doesn't press down, it loops, soft, like red thread around a finger. And as the sky darkens, as the voices settle, as the camp forgets to call roll, you wonder, finally, in the stillness you've always served, if the final stitch was never tied, were you ever supposed to leave at all? You don't wake this time. You rise. Same boots, same scarf, but lighter. Not because the weight is gone, because it's been distributed, folded into other people's sleeves, pinned under new names, written into silence. You step outside your tent. The sky is flat and dull, that shade of gray that used to mean snow, but now just means departure. The camp is there, but less, not quieter, just. Thinned, as if most of it was a story that got set down and never picked up again. You pass the scribe's station. He's not there, but the candle is still burning. One last page lies beside it. You lean in, it's blank, except for the imprint of thread pressed through the paper. You don't write anything. You turn it over, on the back, barely legible. What she carried was not hers. You leave it where it is. At the wash line, no garments hang, just cords, stretched between poles like memory itself long, sagging, slightly uneven. You check your hands, they're clean, still shaped like someone who once folded for a living. Someone who was mistaken for a servant and became something else. You take one clothespin from the ground. Place it in your pocket. There's a boy near the fire barrel. You think he might be the same one, from weeks ago, or months, or longer. He says, "They said you were the last one still walking." You ask, "Is that true?" He shrugs. They say a lot of things. They write down even less. You offer him the biscuit you've kept wrapped in your coat. He breaks it, leaves half on the barrel edge, then walks away. You don't watch him go. By noon, the tents are being taken down, not loudly, not with urgency, just quietly. One at a time, you help with one, not yours, someone else's, someone newer. You pull the stakes gently, fold the canvas with both arms. Place the cords inside the flap, just as you were taught. You're not thanked, but a soldier offers you his glove. You shake your head. Your hands are warm now. You return to the cot, still standing at the north edge. A scarf is folded on top, not yours, different thread. No initials. You take off your scarf. Lay it beside the other. Fold them both once. No knot. No bow. Let them rest together. Let the wind decide what happens next. A man you don't recognize walks up. He says, "We never knew who made the first stitching." You say, "No one did." He nods. Then, "We kept the habit, even after the name's blurred." You say, "That's the only way to keep anything." He leaves a paper on your cot. You don't open it. You just press your hand against it once, and then let it go. You walk back through camp, past where the bread was shaped, past where the coats were hung, past where the thread was always running out. You pause near the tree with the initials. The bark is dry now. The marks have faded, but your fingers still find them, still trace the grooves, still remember who didn't speak them aloud. You reach the field where the firewood used to be stacked. No piles, just ash, pressed into grass. You kneel, press your hand into it, pull away. It leaves no stain. You were never meant to mark this place, just to pass through it in a way that let others stay longer. You turn back once, no one is looking, but you nod anyway, a small bow, nothing formal, just acknowledgement that you helped fold something the world never recorded but depended on just the same. And as you walk the path out slow, steady, no sound behind you, the road does not grow clearer. It does not open, but it allows you. You walk without question, no name to return to, no ledger to close, just the shape of a life that held everything, without leaving a crease. History forgets almost everything. But you were here.